Okay, can everybody see my screen? Just want to make sure before I get going. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get going. I'm sorry for the late start this morning. Um, we are finding small little glitches in the system, and hopefully we are finding new ways to get around it. Google registration was set up initially before passwords and things like that were required for Zoom. And so when we send the link out, for some reason, every time we've used the Google registration, it does not send out or it does not link that password with that registration. So we're working on that. We are switching over to Eventbrite for our registrations. You can register on both, but Eventbrite will have all of our programming through the entire year. We release it in 90-day batches. So if you are interested in knowing what is coming up, feel free to hop on Eventbrite and see what we've got coming up. So I'm really excited for today's class. It is digital skills for everyday tasks. I love this class because it's something that we can implement in our everyday lives, not just our work lives. And that's the really, really fun part about teaching this class. Not only does it help everybody, but I myself always learn something. I get really tired of listening to my own voice. So if you have any questions or any conversations or anything to add in, feel free to break in or put it in the chat. I will go through at the very, very end and go through the chat and answer any questions that are in there. And if I don't answer that question, just bring it up again before the end of the presentation, because I want to make sure that this presentation is valuable to you and you get your questions answered, because that's the most important. My favorite part of teaching with a large group like we have today is that it's different every single time I teach, because everybody has different questions and they bring it up. And that's what makes it really fun for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get started today. We want to thank our co-host today is the Utah Rural Online Initiative, or ROI. I believe that many people that are on this, based on the registration, are probably have already taken the ROI certificate. And if you have, go ahead and put that in the chat. I'm interested to see how many have taken that. It's an incredible course. I took it last October. It was a fun course to take, but it did teach me a lot, and I'm the one that's teaching the classes, right? A lot of fun, connected with some really incredible people across the United States, and able to really challenge myself and my remote work, right, ability. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my chat up. I forgot to do that when I reset everything. So yeah, it looks like we've got a lot of people that have taken that. So let's go ahead and get started today. I'm Megan McFall. I'm actually the director here at the SBDC, or Small Business Development Center in Blanding, Utah. And I am a Grow with Google instructor. Really exciting part of my job is I get to teach computer literacy classes. Our set schedule for computer literacy classes is we teach Google or Grow with Google every Monday at 9 a.m. So if there's other topics that you're interested in, we've got those available. We also teach Microsoft on Tuesdays from 4 until 5. So if there's Microsoft topics that you're interested in, please feel free to join us on those as well. So I want to kind of set up the environment and reason why this class came together. So ultimately, we're learning, especially with COVID coming out, we're learning how to work from home and work remotely. For those of you that have taken the ROI program, you know that that has become an important aspect, whether you took it in this last year because of COVID or you've been working remotely for years. It has had a profound influence on how we do our everyday lives. And it's been a pretty, for a lot of people, it was kind of an awakening moment on transitioning into that. When COVID first started and we went into the first stay-at-home order, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of switched up my routine a little bit. So I would sleep in and I'd go to work in my pajamas, and sometimes I'd even have my laptop and just sit in bed and work. And I don't know about you guys, but I felt like I was less productive. After a couple of weeks of that, I felt like I wasn't getting anything done. I was kind of sluggish. I was even depressed. So as they're talking about depression and things like that, as we're going through COVID, I want to talk about some things to help break that depression cycle and maybe get us to be more productive. And so here's some things that we need to talk about. So number one, keep a routine. So if you normally get up at a certain time when you have to go into your office or go into a office, keep that routine. If you go and work out before you go into work, go to the gym or work an at-home workout routine, shower, whatever it is, your normal routine, make sure you keep that. It is important that you have routines to make sure you're number one productive, but also it helps with those COVID blues or that depression that we talked about a little bit. So the next thing I want to talk about is having a dedicated workspace. When we're working, like, for example, from bed, like I did, number one, it teaches our brain that that isn't just for sleep, like I was, so I wasn't able to sleep during normal hours. But it also, we don't know, it's hard to focus on work, so we're less productive. If we set up a dedicated workspace, now, I was lucky enough to have a room that I can make my dedicated office, and not everybody is that lucky. Even if you're at your dining room table, for example, and you have to take down your workspace every single day for, say, dinner, it's okay. Go ahead and set that up, but also have the same chair, sit in the same spot. So when your body knows I'm in this spot, that it is time to work. And you will find yourself that it is more productive when you do that than when you're moving around the house, you're sitting on the couch or whatever that might be. You'll find yourself more productive throughout the day. The other thing is make sure that you have lunch and you schedule yourself breaks. Our bodies are not made to work 18 hours straight without breaks. You can't sit in front of a computer. You get Zoom fatigue. One day I had like 8 Zooms back to back to back to back, and I was so tired. I think I was more tired that day, and I didn't physically exert myself. But it's a Zoom fatigue. We talk about Zoom fatigue because we're tired of having meeting after meeting on Zoom, but it's a true thing. So we need to get up about every 90 minutes to 2 hours and either move around, grab a small snack, whatever that might be and might look like for you. But about every 90 minutes, you need to schedule a little bit of a break, a 10-minute break, walk around, maybe go outside for a minute, grab something to eat, and then come back to work. You'll find that you'll have a new perspective on whatever project you're working on. Next is to create a to-do list. This is to make sure that you're accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish. But at the end of the day, end of the workday, if you create a to-do list for the following day, you'll be able to start the following day much quicker because you know what needs to be done. But also you'll be able to look over the day and what you were to accomplish and feel more accomplished and that you were actually able to complete things throughout the day. Next thing is give your coworkers and even yourself some grace. We are all getting used to this remote work situation and COVID and things like that. I know it's been a year since a lot of this stuff has happened, but it's still a challenging situation, having kids at home and things like that. So give yourself some grace. You're going to hear a couple dogs bark in the back and have some kids come in. I'm sure everybody has been on a Zoom where we've had some oopses and kind of have brought in a little bit of a chuckle. I even think that there's some YouTube compilations of oopses from meetings and things like that, and they're quite hilarious. But give yourself some grace. It's okay to not have everything perfect. I don't know, I'm a perfectionist, so I had to learn that for myself. But last but not least, make sure you stick to a schedule. When you're not at work, it's really, really hard to not set a schedule because you're not at the office, right? So when you work from home, it's very easy to do that one last email that ends up taking an hour, or hearing that email come in on your phone and just responding it. But you'll have that burnout, right? You're working 24/7 and you'll end up burning out. So make sure that you have a schedule. Say if you're working from 9 to 5, those are your hours. And just because you're working from home doesn't mean it's extended. You also need to have that family time. And so if you work from 9 to 5 and that's when you're focused on work, then when you end at 5 and you're with your family, you're not feeling guilty because you're not doing work because there's stuff to do. But you also, when you're at work, you're not feeling guilty because you're not spending time with your kids and your family because they're there. If you set those boundaries and set those hours, you know that you've got both covered and you don't feel guilty that you're not spending time with each one, but you also don't hit that burnout and you hit a little bit of balance, even though I'm not sure that the perfect work-life balance is there, especially when you're working from home or working remotely, but creating some sort of balance is really, really important. Okay, so everyday tasks. First thing we talked about, or one thing we talked about, is creating that to-do list. The next thing we're going to talk about is collaborating with a team and virtual documents. We're going to talk about how to do that a little bit today through Google Drive. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about sharing your sharing your progress often. When you're working with a team remotely, these are the things that you want to do on a regular basis so that you're able to keep up. But also if you're working with a team, they can understand what is going on. So today, as we go throughout our project, as we go throughout teaching you the skills that we're going to teach you, we're going to imagine or think about that we're planning an event. I plan a lot of conferences in my work. I don't know, I'm sure everybody is planning some sort of an event. If you're planning an event right now, whether it's a meeting or a conference or something like that, go ahead and put that in the chat so that we can see the different aspects that we can apply these to, and we'll talk about that as we go through. If I know what people are planning, I can kind of relate that through. But in my line of work, I planned a lot of conferences. We did a lot of both business development conferences, but we also did a bunch of financial conferences. And these skills became very, very vital to keeping everything organized and how we were going to keep everything. Planning a session for a virtual conference. Perfect. That is a perfect thing. So today we're going to go and we're going to learn how to create a to-do list with Google Sheets. Okay, Google Sheets is very similar to Excel for people those that have not used it before. We're going to do a meeting agenda with Google Docs. Docs is similar to Word. And then we're going to build a status update presentation with Google Slides. Slides is similar to PowerPoint. And then I'm going to give you some resources at the very, very end of the presentation. So here we go. So first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to sign into your Google account. If you don't have a Google account is completely free. So please sign up for one. It gives you multiple access to several different apps. The other really, really cool part is that it is basically all cloud-based. So regardless of where you are, as long as you have access to internet and a computer, you have access to all your information, which is a really, really neat aspect to it. And my favorite part is it's completely free. So when you sign up for a Google account, these are the applications that you have access to for free. Number one, you have Google Sheets, what we're going to talk about today. Google Docs, we're going to use as well, and then Google Slides. Those are the applications that we're going to use today as we go through this. The other applications that you have free access to is Photos, Chrome, which is a internet search bar or internet search or internet browser, and then Gmail, which is a free email application as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to sign into our Google account, and then we're going to go into our Google Drive. What Google Drive is, it's essentially an online cloud-based storage that stores all of our information that we need. The other really cool aspect of this is that when there's no save button anymore. Has anybody ever noticed that? There's really, like on Google, there's no save button, number one. I challenge you to find it. I actually did try to look for it, couldn't find it. It automatically saves the latest version on the cloud. I don't know, I had a computer crash. Have you ever had a computer crash and you have to go figure out how to pull all that information off of the hard drive and go through that process? It's horrible, absolutely horrible and challenging. So the really, really cool part about using a program like Google Drive is everything's in the cloud. So if your computer crashes, you've still got everything. It's just a matter of signing into the next computer and bringing it all up. It's really, really amazing. The other really cool part about Google Drive is if you're using Google applications like Sheets and Docs and stuff like that, it doesn't count for any of your storage. You can upload other docs that you've worked from like Microsoft and your photos and things like that. But just an interesting tidbit on that is that if you're using the Google applications, it does not count against your storage. So we're going to go ahead and go into our Google Drive. And it's going to bring it up. First thing we're going to create is our to-do list. We're going to use a template to create our to-do list. So we're going to show you how to go into that. So now we're in our Google Drive. We're going to go over to New, and then we're going to go down to Sheets, and then to From a Template. In that portion, we're going to hit the to-do template. Here's the thing about that. Google has had many creators create awesome templates for both Google Sheets, Docs, all of this stuff. I encourage you to explore those and see what is available to you. There's no reason for us to create it from scratch. When somebody else has gone to the effort to create it and format it and go through all of that process, it just makes things a lot easier. So we're going to use this template for a to-do list. Feel free, if you have a second screen or another computer opportunity, go ahead and follow along and do this yourself, so that if you're like me, I learned by doing. I had to actually do this stuff to learn it. Go ahead and bring it up and feel free to follow along and plan your own project as we're doing that. So Google Sheets, if you bring up the Google Sheets, sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied today. You will see many different aspects to this. So essentially, all of these little rectangles are called cells. And every cell has a name. So all of the rows are numbered and all the columns are lettered. So if you look across any Excel or any sheet, you'll see this in both sides. So every one of them has a name. So the very, very first block in Excel would be A1 because it's in column A and row 1. The next one would be B1 because it's in column B and row 1. So that just kind of gives you an idea that there's a name for every single one. And there is, that's the way that you kind of map out your Excel type project. So really, really cool. Can your storage run out? On Google Drive, you have for free 15 megabytes, which is a lot of storage on Google Drive. If you go over that or need to go over that, if you're a big picture taker like I am, you're more than welcome to upgrade that, and their prices are very reasonable, very cost effective. So yes, you can run out of the free storage, but you can upgrade to a pay plan at that point in time. So sorry about that. So in this one, we have the layout and we have tasks that we need to complete. We also have a date that they need to be completed by. And I'm weird. I love that first column that has the little bars that I can click on and have them checked off. I like to see the checks off. I like to see that I have things done. Am I the only one that is that way? I like to know that I am accomplishing things throughout the day. So this is essentially what the template looks like. The really, really cool part is that our templates are adjustable. We can move them and add whatever that we need, but we can also format them. So we are going to add some tasks into our template. So we're planning a conference, so we're going to add conference style tasks. So in the first part, we're going to talk about, we're going to need to prepare a budget, right? We're going to need to make sure that we stay in our financial restrictions. And then what day? In the date spot, it is the date that it is due by. At least that's the way it's set up. If you need to change that to your personal preferences, you're more than welcome to. And then it is actually formatted to put it into a date format, regardless of what the numbers you put in. So you could put a really, really long date and it'll move it into short date. Formatting is one of the really, really cool aspects of sheets, is that you can format it so that it hits a phone number or a specific date, short or long, things like that. So we're also, the next thing we need to do is we need to create a meeting agenda so that we make sure that we follow that along for our conference. And so that's the really neat part. We can add those all in and set the dates that they're due by. The other thing that we need to add in is we got multiple people working on our team, right? It's not just us, we've got extra additional people. So what we need to do is we need to add in who we're gonna assign these tasks to, because I don't know about you, but I'm a big delegator. My poor assistant thinks that I delegate everything to him, but I probably do. I delegate a lot, couldn't do everything I do without him. But so we're going to have a column that is the owner, or you can put, you can use another word for that. I use owner. So I'm going to go in and we're going to assign these to Paul and Heather. Paul might be our CFO, and Heather is probably just another member of our team that's helping us plan. So we're going to go down and we're going to assign each task a person. So as we share this document with Google Drive, I'll show you how to share documents. Then they can all see what they're assigned for, and then they know what they have to accomplish. Then as we're following up with everybody, we can go, okay, Paul, where's the budget and how are we doing? How much money do we have left? We can go with Heather. Hey, Heather, have you typed up that agenda? Do we have the meeting notes available? Whatever that might be, we know exactly who needs to do it. And then they can't say, well, I didn't know I needed to do that, because how many of us have been on a team and they've said that? So now everybody can know what they need to do and what the assignment is. Say. So as we talked about before, Google Sheets is able to be formatted and changed. So say that we have specific business branding. For Utah State, we're white and navy blue. And so we would change that probably to white and navy blue. Or this conference might have a very specific setup for colors. And so we're going to change it to those branded colors. Whatever that needs to be, if you're using this at home, you might have a Monday to-do list that is purple, a Tuesday to-do list that is green, and Wednesday to-do list that's another color. And that's how you tell the different days of the week that you need to accomplish those. So you have that ability to make those adjustments. The other really cool ability is you can change the font so that it's a pretty font or it's a straightforward font, whatever that is. You can also change the size. Anything like that is changeable, movable. You can add in extra cells if you want to have like a start date and a finish date, any of that kind of stuff. You can add into that to make sure that it fits your needs. Okay. So now that we are essentially we're completed with that, we're going to go back to our Google Drives. And as you can see at the very, very top for quick access, that's where our sheets is, because that was our last product that we worked on. So the way Google Drive works is the last product we worked on will go into our quick access across the top. And then at the bottom, we'll have all of our files available to you. So if you're working on the same project over and over again, you'll have quick access to those. And then underneath that, you'll have your files. And then also you can upload external files from there. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a meeting agenda for everybody that's working together. We set that to-do list. We need to bring everybody together. We need to talk and review where everything is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Google Drive. We're going to do the same thing we did before, go to new, and then we're going to, instead of sheets, we're going to go to docs, and then we're going to go to template. Okay. On this one, we're going to find the meeting agenda template that we want. Again, they have done all the formatting for us. They've created all the little placeholders that we need. We can make whatever formatting adjustments that we want, but they've done all the hard work, right? And the other cool part is, I don't know about you, but I can forget things every once in a while if I am doing it up from scratch. It'll remind me, oh my goodness, maybe I need to have somebody do that, or I didn't even think of having that in that meeting. So it's kind of a neat thing. So go into that, find the template that you're looking for, and then we're going to go into that template. Again, Google Docs will automatically save that. And if you do not retitle it, it'll be saved as untitled docs. And so you may go into your docs and it'll have untitled doc 1, untitled doc 2, untitled doc 3. Make sure you go up and you just double click where it says the untitled and change it so that it is titled whatever you need to title that, so that you don't have all these untitled docs you have to go through, because I didn't know that before. That was a new thing that I learned when I started instructing. So you go in and then we can fill in, as you can see, there's lots of little placeholders. Like for example, that date doesn't have a true year on it. Time, we can make adjustments, all of that stuff. So we're going to go in and we're going to make adjustments. The other thing that we can do is we can make adjustments to formatting. And we can do whichever formatting, just like we did before. We can change the font, we can change the size, we can change the color, we can do bullets, we can do all kinds of stuff. So make sure that you make that so that it fits your project. Okay. The other really cool part I love about Google Docs is the commenting options. So if you highlight a section or a word out to the side, there'll be a little plus bar. You can click on that plus bar and create a little note. So if you create that plus bar, click on that plus bar and you just start typing and hit comment, that comment is open to everybody that has access to that, that documentation. If you want only one person to have access to that comment, say for budget review, say it's a financial thing that we need to look up on, we can do that exact same thing again, but this time instead of just writing a general comment, we are going to put the email address, we're going to hit plus first and then put the email address of the person that we only want to see that comment in first, and then add our comment. Then that comment is only available to the one person that is tagged in that comment. So really, really cool aspect of working in a team and keeping things private. Like maybe like for this one example that we're using, we need the budget. They need the budget to bring to the meeting so they're prepared. The whole world doesn't need to know that. Or maybe they did an oops and they can easily correct it. Leaving them a comment personally, so much better than leaving a big comment to the whole group. Oh my goodness, you messed up. Because that's the way it feels, right? So keeping those personal is really, really important. The other cool part about the comment, say that you're doing a resume for a job search or something, or a promotion or whatever that might be, and you want somebody else to review that, that comment section is really, really huge, because you don't want them to go in and adjust your resume. but having that comment and say, hey, you should add this, or this is a little too much, whatever that might be, having that in there and having that ability is really big. Okay, so we're going to talk about sharing documents. There is the share button on inside every single document that you put in Drive. There's also a share button within every file within Drive, so that you have multiple ways. So you can share an entire file, or you can just share a single document. So just to have a heads up on that, it gives you lots of flexibility. So on this one, we're just sharing the one document. So we are going through, and what you do is you add the email address of the person that you are wanting to share that with, and then you go over to the little pencil looking thing and you choose the level of edit options that they have. So you can edit, so then they have full privileges, they can edit whatever they want, it's saved automatically, and that's how it is. Generally, when you're working with a team, that's going to be the way it is. The next is can add comments, like we talked earlier. They have access to the file, they can look at the file, but they can't edit it. They can add comments, highlight the little section, add comments over to the side. Great for like resume reviews or maybe a P&T review, whatever that might be. Great for that type of a situation. And then last but not least, they can view. This is where they have access to the file. They can view it, but they can't do anything to it. They just have access to it. This is great for when you have, like, say, a webinar or something like that, and you want to send out documentation to people so that they have maybe a handout, flyers, something like that. You can give them access to it, so they have access to it, but they can't make any adjustments to it. It's locked. That's the really neat part of that, and it protects your personal information, but also that copy of your product. They can't adjust it. So, and then once you're done putting all that information in, you can drop a little note, say, hey, will you review this? Or here's the meeting agenda, whatever that might be, and then hit send. It sends them an email notification that you've shared them a file. And then they have access to that. So you can have different accesses to different files for different people. So say one person, the same person can have editable access to, say, the budget, but only have view access to, say, the agenda. So it's, you have that power to make adjustments to their lettable access. And say at one point or another that you want to change it from comment to can edit, you can go in and do the share and adjust that as well. So lots of flexibility within Google. Okay, so we've had our meeting. We know where everything is at. We have built and we've planned this beautiful, wonderful conference that we're putting together. Everybody's completed their tasks, and we get a letter or an email from the higher ups that they want to know. They want a big presentation. They want to know what's going on with our conference, how we've planned it, all that information. So we're going to create now from Google Slides a presentation that we can share, either just the presentation, or we can actually meet together, whether it be on Zoom or Google Meet or whatever that might be, and we can share that information. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to go back to our Google Drive, and we're going to click New. We're going to go to Google Slides instead of the other ones this time, and then from Template, we're going to look for Status Report from the templates. Okay. So we found our status report, and this is kind of what that status report looks like. They have multiple different templates for different projects. Again, I encourage you to go look through those templates so you have an idea of what's available in all the different documentation. So we're going to go through, and we're just going to do a report on the marketing campaign for this, because we want to make sure that we get big numbers from this marketing campaign. So that's what this section is going to be about. So we're putting in all the information. All of the slides are adjustable. So we can go in and we can say change the color in the background. We can change the font, just like we did everything else. We can make adjustments to the slides so that they fit our program, our branding, anything like that, and they work the best for us. If you look over on the left-hand side, you'll see the different types of templates that they've already got pre-programmed into that presentation, and you can use those, or you can create your own and add a blank sheet and then add in what you need to add. So we are going to, I tend to talk a little faster than the presentation goes. Can you tell? So we're going to go ahead and add another slide. We need to, we're going to show that we have some big numbers in our marketing campaign. So we want to add an option where we can demonstrate those big numbers. So we went into the already created slides and found an option that we can show that big number. So we added that in by going to that insert option, and we put in that big number slide. So we're going to show the big percentages from our marketing campaign that we are getting. We also have an area underneath that we can type in some notes, how we created those big numbers, whatever that might be. Now we decided our presentation's a little boring, because I don't know about you, but presentations over Zoom can get extremely boring if there's not graphics and colors and things like that. So we've decided that we want to add in a photo. So the really cool part about the Google Sheets, I forgot what document we were in, the Google Sheets, is you have access to either pull from your Google Drive, your device, or you can actually pull from the internet. So we chose to pull from the internet and pull this beautiful picture and added to this. Here's the thing about pulling pictures off the internet. Make sure you have access, or make sure you have permissions to use any photo off the internet that you decide to pull, or you could get yourself into trouble. So just one key on that, just make sure that you're following those kind of rules, because we don't want anybody to get into trouble. But that's why we have access to that, so that you can pull anything to fill that you need. I don't hear the dog barking. Hope you didn't hear the dog. No, we didn't hear the dog barking. We've added this beautiful picture. The other thing is we can change layouts and things like that to make sure that it fits our student. So we want to share this. We've got to share this with the boss, right? So we're going to go in, we click share. We are going to type in his email address so that we can share it with him. Or the other option is say that we're working as a team and say my project was the social media and the marketing campaign. So I filled that in. Maybe he needs to do the next section that might be the budget. And so maybe I need to share it with the finance manager so that he can add in a section on the budget. The other really neat part is you can actually add like graphics and sections of a Google Sheet. Maybe you need to show the budget like on a Google Sheet, or percentages and graphs like that. You can actually add that into Google Slides and connect it to your Google Sheets so that they work off each other. So if you change your Google Sheets, then it changes your presentation automatically. So you're not going back and forth and making those adjustments every single time. So just like every other document, you can share this, and it has the same access of shared options as well. So you can pass documents back and forth. The other cool part is you can both be in the same document at the same time. It's kind of freaky the first time you do this, and you both could be making edits, and it'll update in real time. So me and my business partner lives in Bountiful, Utah, and I live down here in Blanding in Four Corners area. And so we have to do that a lot as we are working on different projects. And so we'll be in the same document. She'll be typing on one area and I'll be typing on another area, and we'll overlap sometimes. And it is the freakiest thing if you're not used to it when it happens. So just beware when that happens. It's a lot of fun, and it's really great when you're working together, but get used to it and be prepared for some fun things to happen. So just a recap of what we've gone over today. We've talked about how to create a to-do list within Google Sheets. You can use those both at home and at work, and they're massively effective, which is really cool. My favorite is one of the participants of the last class made chore charts for every single one of her kids because they were home for the holidays and they cleaned their entire house. It was kind of fun. Next thing we went over is creating the Google Docs and the agenda. And there's a question about Google Docs. Jill says, I can't find the agenda template in the Google Docs. Can you search? Jill, I'm going to give you a resource at the very end that's going to give you all website, that has all of the templates for every single product, so that you're able to look at all of those as well. So true, web developer uses. Yeah, it's very, very true. It is. It makes a huge, huge difference, Gloria. So anyway, we went over how to make an agenda within the Google Docs. And then last but not least, we created a presentation in Google Sheets to be able to share. So Some other apps that I encourage you to look into and get more information on is Google Forms. If you do surveys or do presentations, we use Google Forms constantly here. After presentations, sometimes we will send out and say, hey, if it's a new one, hey, how is this effective? Does this work? All of those different information. So if you are doing any sort of presentations, need to gather info, anything like that, I encourage you to learn how to use Google Forms. Google Sites is an incredible opportunity to either create your own work portfolio, or if you own a business, to create a landing page for your business so you can create an online presence. That's a really, really neat platform. I taught classes on that last week, and we hosted a Google trainer for that. It was a lot of fun. And then Google Slides is the presentation that we talked about. Google Calendars makes a huge, huge impact on a work situation. You can do multiple on the same calendar. You can do multiple different calendars. So if you have a bunch of different projects and each of them need their own calendar, that's great. And then they all show up on one calendar. I know a family that has a different calendar, a different color for each kid. And so they can go in and edit their calendar, each kid does, so that they know like what basketball games are and all of that kind of stuff. And then they have it all rolls up into one big massive family calendar, so everybody knows what's going on with everybody, which is kind of cool. And then last but not least is Google Meets. And that is basically a video conference call type of a program that's for free, that's available through your Google account, which is really cool too. So your next steps, these are the addresses that I kind of talked about, and then I'll have a resources page that has every single application and their addresses as well. So at the Google docs.google.com, sheets.google.com, you kind of get the point. Whichever application you're looking to use, that's first .google.com, and that's how you find those templates and things like that. That's where you can research more information and work specific classes on individual things as well. And then there are more professional workshops. There are advanced programming and things like that for each of these. All of these classes are very beginning, and then we have intermediate and advanced classes as well. So this is the last page you can go to for additional resources and opportunities to look at the different templates and different opportunities that are available for more education in these areas. One of the things that I get questions about all the time, Google did discontinue the Google, it's Google Workspace certification as of December 31st of last year. And so that has been a big question for everybody. We do have what's called the Google Workplace certification that's available on demand over Canvas, if those are still interested in getting that. That's also connected to Google, and it has 16 Google certificates. What Google has gone to is individual certificates for each individual application, rather than a full-on certificate for the whole thing, and they're moving more to their IT certificates. We're waiting for more information on all those details, but if you're interested in going through and getting that, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about that. So are there any other questions that I missed? Where can we see the different trainings that you guys offer? So let me stop my screen share real quick. The different trainings that we offer are available on we put them all up on Eventbrite, but we only release them 90 days at a time on our Facebook page. They are available. All of our trainings are available all the way through the year, actually, I believe. So let me grab that email for you real quick. Are you talking about all of our trainings as far as Microsoft and methods of modern finance and all of those? Or are you just talking about Google, so I can know which things to pull? All the trainings. On our USU website, we have catalogs that can be downloaded. We also have all of our trainings available on our Facebook page, so you can follow us. It's at USU SBDC. on Facebook, or it's USU Blanding Small Business Development Center is the full title of the page. We have all of our events for the entire year on that. And then you can go to Eventbrite, and we have 5 different pages on Eventbrite, so you can follow those individually, and then it'll notify you as stuff becomes available as well. So those are the different options, multiple different options. As always, in most places, they have multiple different options for that. But that particular one is for our Growth Google. Thanks, Gloria. It was a lot of these classes are just so much fun to teach because I feel like they're so valuable for everybody. So that would, I'm gonna get you the Microsoft link as well. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we're going to be teaching the SharePoint and OneDrive. So if you do a lot of collaborations and things like that, then you will actually love that class. And the Salt Lake Microsoft training team is absolutely incredible. So there's the Tuesdays with Microsoft link as well. And then I'm not sure what else you need. Any other questions that I missed as I was going through?
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Perfect. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. We are really excited to be able to offer these courses. Next week is Collaborate, Meet and Work Remotely. It's a fun class. We go over Google Meets and calendars and all kinds of stuff, kind of go more in depth. It's like kind of the next level within this. And so it's a fun class to go through. And we have about 20 people currently registered for that, which will be great. I'm looking forward to teaching that. So if you're interested in anything like that, feel free to register and hop on next week. And we look forward to seeing you guys. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.